All right. Ladies and gentlemen, please take out your whiteboard and your notebook. Please and thank you. All right, so friendly reminder, tomorrow you do have a test, 25 questions, all multiple choice. You have a focus and a map due tomorrow at 8:30 a.m. Please make sure you have it done. Do we have our maps done?
Yeah.
I was like halfway done and then I got halfway.
Yeah. So we can talk about the map or we can talk about all the content you have to cover today. So it's either or, because like I'm partial to not doing anything because I'm over it. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, please make sure you are ready to go for tomorrow. On Thursday, we're doing a map. On Friday, I'm doing a lecture, and then we're separated for 9 whole days where I won't think of you at all. And you won't think of me, and it'll be glorious. So I'm working on your midterm review right now. It's looking pretty good. I'll be copying it tomorrow, which is very exciting because we're that close. Isn't that exciting? It is exciting. We spend a week together working on the review. So it is a good thing. Okay, who can raise their hand and tell me where we left off just so I know? Hayden?
The last thing I wrote was nationalism is based on how much influence you have on other countries.
Perfect. Okay, good. We're going to do a couple boards to begin, and then we'll pick up right where Hayden told me. Thank you very much. On your whiteboard, ladies and gentlemen, please tell me, what is it called when a foreign country takes over another country to exploit their natural resources? Got a key? Imperialism. On your whiteboard, please tell me, what is it called when a foreign country takes over indigenous people's land in order to get religious freedom, to start anew, or to look for gaining wealth? Friar. Colonialism. What is it called when a foreign nation overtakes another place, China, and exploits only their economy? Good. Izzy?
Spheres of influence.
Spheres of influence. On your whiteboard, please tell me, what is it called when white people believe they have the right to take over territory because they have industrialized and have experienced the Age of Enlightenment. They have the right because they are the fittest. What do we call it, Virginia? Social Darwinism. What is it called when white people feel the burden or the responsibility of having to teach the rest of the world how to be awesome? Good. What am I looking for, Scott? White man's burden. All of these, of course, play into this whole white supremacy component that I kept seeing come up, but those two are the major components. On your whiteboard, please tell me, what is... perfect. Please tell me, when we're having these imperialized nations are looking for two major things. These industrialized imperialized nations are looking for two major things in these new colonies. What are they? Good. Good. Izzy?
Natural resources in a market.
And markets. You can raise your hand and tell me what we mean by markets. What do we mean by markets when we say natural resources and markets? Andrew?
Something to sell their stuff to.
Yeah, of course, because all of these industrialized markets are getting super saturized with all of their products, so now they got to find other people to buy them. Perfect. Okay, so let's talk. Yesterday, Hayden told us we left off at nationalism. Is that correct? Okay, so this whole nationalistic component is going to push people to evolve. I am going to jump around a little bit because this will be my third lecture of the day. Sounds good? So we're going to go straight to America. So you're going to do imperialism in America. So that's your heading, ladies and gentlemen. All right. Here we go. So, imperialism in America. So, first thing you need to know is we have a thing called the Trail of Tears. Okay, the Trail of Tears. Okay, which is going to be started by the Indian Removal Act. And that is moving indigenous people from the east coast of the U.S. to Oklahoma. Now, you don't need to know this for AP World, but you will need to know for A push. Does anyone know what president he is doing this? Gaki? Jackson. Alright, you do need to know that the American government is supporting this. Now, you don't need to write this down, but I just want you to know the U.S. government, the U.S. Army specifically, was purposely infecting blankets with smallpox. They would find someone who had smallpox, scrape their skin, put it on the blanket, and hand it to the natives. It's easier to kill an Indian than to move the Indian. That was the motto. Just so you know. Monroe Doctrine is the next one. Okay, the Monroe Doctrine was issued in 1823. I don't need you to memorize it. I just want you to kind of have a frame of reference time period. Okay, so it's 1823 that says no European nation can imperialize the Western Hemisphere. Why did we do it? Why, Ainsley?
Because we want it for ourselves.
Yeah, we want it for ourselves. So originally it kind of sounds like we're trying to protect these people, right? But in the end, what did we do? We imperialized Dona. Yeah! You really think it costs 49 cents a pound to import bananas? Bananas? Are you kidding me? Bananas cost way more than that. We subsidize it now. Anyway, so perfect example of American imperialism is the Mexican-American War. Okay, and in that war, we win, and we get southwest of the United States. So that is Arizona, that is New Mexico, and parts of Texas. Okay, we also have a thing called Manifest Destiny. It's the American justification to conquer coast to coast. There's a God component to it too. Like God has given us the land, it is ours to take kind of component. So it's not just like, oh look, we can take it. Alright. Couple things you do need to know. We as the United States are gonna overthrow Hawaii. We're gonna take Hawaii in a coup. What's a coup? We keep talking about it. Parker.
When a small party overthrows the government.
Yeah. So, anyone here been to Hawaii? I'm the only one? Oh, hell yeah, Catherine. Okay. Did you just stay in touristy places or did you go off the touristy path?
We stayed in an Airbnb that was kind of in, so it wasn't really in a touristy area.
Okay. Were people nice to you? No. No, they're not going to be nice to you. If you're in touristy places, they'll be very nice to you because Hawaii, I'm talking as in white people, they will be kind to you in touristy places because tourism is going to be the largest industry. But if you go into where real Hawaiians live and interact and stuff like that, they're going to be rude as hell to you. Why? Because we overthrew their government in a coup because we didn't want to pay that much for sugar or pineapples. Does anyone know who led the coup? You probably eat them when you go to Disney World. They're in whips. A Dole Whip. Dole Plantation. Guys, every pineapple you buy here in America is sold under the brand of Dole. Dole overthrew the Hawaiian government so they could import their pineapples cheaper.
I've never eaten one anyway. I go to Disney a lot.
You've never had a Dole Whip?
No, I just never like pineapple.
It's like a thing, girl. I mean, I hate Disney World more than anything in the world, but in Hawaii, you have to go to the Dole Plantation.
Why do you hate Disney World so much?
It just sounds
I hate fun.
That's crowds. I hate
You
the
ever
whole
guys
thing.
hate
It's
the
so
habits?
artificial. I just can't.
It never
Like
does-
Hank will never go to Disney until he can recite and point at everything and describe who that person is. Like a picture of like Goofy, he better be able to point to it and say Goofy, best friends with whatever. I don't even know because I hate that shit.
That makes sense. I don't get when they take like newborn babies to Disney.
We're gonna actually get back to content because you have a test tomorrow and there's a lot. Well, I'm glad I fit the mold of who Samantha Bennett is in your head though. That's nice. Okay. So, you do need to know that we're going to overthrow the Hawaiian government, which is why real Hawaiians hate white people. Justifiable. And we're going to show... Oh, the United States is going to interfere with governments. This is going to be something we really focus on in the next couple of months. We'll interfere with governments to maintain superiority and influence in the country. Have you ever wondered why the Dominican Republic is kind of a mess? We did it. We did it. We want them to be unstable because if they're unstable, who do they depend on? America. Have you ever wondered why Central America is kind of a mess? America. Because if they're a mess, who do they depend on? America. Okay. Russian imperialism. Okay, so we have Catherine the Great, who happens to be one of my favorite TV shows. Anyone watch The Great on Hulu? Oh my god, it's amazing. It's amazing. Don't watch it. There's absolutely zero historical fact to it, but it's hilarious. All right, Catherine the Great. She is going to expand Russia to its furthest boundaries ever. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. We've got a woman kicking butt. We're not excited? Oh, guys, we have so few women. Can we be excited? Catherine the Great is going to expand the territory, and she's going to take a ton of territory from the Ottoman Empire. That's going to be her biggest victim. Why is everyone taking territory from the Ottoman Empire? Why, Aiden? They're declining in power. Everyone calls them the old man of Europe because they've been around since 1453. Okay? They're also going to sell Alaska at a very nice price for back then. Okay? And they're also going to play the Great Game. And that's where we're going to start. Okay? So they're going to play the Great Game, which is between England and Russia. Okay, they're fighting over Afghanistan. Oh my god, are things like this happening today? Wild. This is like the first real intrigue in Afghanistan. Okay, so the Great Game is between England and Russia and Afghanistan. Okay, they are both trying to take control without directly fighting. Because they're both two world powers. So if they go directly to war, what's going to happen? A world war, and everyone was horrified. So they're doing this kind of under the radar, just kind of attacking and poking and prodding at each other. Okay? Neither are successful. They both walk away. They both walk away because neither of them wants to start a war. Like a massive all-out war. Now, they don't want to start a war, but how do you think a lot of Afghans died? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. So, they're also going to take land from Manchuria, aka China.
Why Afghanistan?
Because it has a bunch of natural resources, and I don't even know if it has gas and oil yet. Okay, so we're starting to see that they're trying to control regions of the world where you're going to have trade. The British have already built the Suez Canal, so they're trying to insulate the whole area to protect it from anyone trying to take over because they know how valuable it's going to be. Because they know they have Egypt and they're trying to expand into the Middle East. Is that a good answer? Alright. That's the Russians. Okay? Now, Australia and New Zealand are going to be controlled by the British. Okay, Australia and New Zealand the British. You need to know that Australia is a penal colony. And what is a penal colony? Aiden?
It's a colony that was established overseas.
Yeah, for what?
Is it for punishment?
Yeah, it's convicts. Yeah. Some of my favorite wine is called,
Oh, the 13 crimes?
yeah, 14 crimes, 13 crimes, 12 crimes, I don't know. It's the crime ones. They have pictures of like famous like convicts who got sent over to these places and stuff like that. It's delicious. When you're 21, I highly suggest. But Australia and New Zealand are going to become the major focal point. It is important to you to know that there are convicts being sent here, but there are also poor people from Europe showing up too. So it's convicts and poor people, because it's very cheap to get on a boat with a bunch of convicts. So you are seeing some free settlers get on these boats and go. So it's not just convicts. Okay? It's not very attractive until they discover that cotton and gold can grow and can be found here. And then it'll start being very popular. Okay, in New Zealand, you do need to know the British are going to swear that they'll protect the Maoris. Okay, the Maori culture and identity. And they swear, they even signed a treaty saying that they will allow these Maori traditions to continue. And guess what they obviously do? They obviously completely destroy, but that's, expected, I think. Cool. Alright, now let's get to the cool stuff, where the indigenous fight back. Hell yeah. It is really important that you understand that no place in the world is like, oh my god, white people, this is wonderful. Thank you for coming. No one is feeling like that, because everyone knows they're coming to steal the resources and that they're just going to wipe out the indigenous. So, it is really important that you understand that every place in the world is fighting back. Some places are successful. Ethiopia holds back and fights off the Italians, which is amazing. They'll be heavily punished in the 1930s when a guy named Mussolini comes back and slaughters 350,000 men, women, and children in about 6 hours. But they'll win at this point. Okay. Here you go. Nationalism is growing, ladies and gentlemen, especially in the Balkan Peninsula. Does anyone know where the Balkan Peninsula is? Does anyone know what is the major country of the Balkan Peninsula? They're known for their olive oil. Greece. Yes, the Balkan Peninsula is the Greek peninsula. So you should probably make a note of that if you didn't know it. The Balkan Peninsula is the Greek peninsula, and at this moment it's controlled by the Ottomans. So, the Balkan Peninsula is controlled by the Ottomans, and because of the Enlightenment movement and revolutions, they want their independence. You should maybe make a note of that. So, it's directly because of the Enlightenment. Okay? So, we're starting to see, of course we have nationalism, which is America is the best, and if you talk shit about America, I'm going to beat you up. That's nationalism. Now we have ethnic nationalism. I am a Greek citizen. I have Greek blood flowing through my veins. I want to be controlled by a Greek leader. That's what ethnic nationalism is. So if you're Greek, you want to have a Greek leader. If you're Italian, you want to have a... If you're, whatever. Okay, so we're going to see that these nationalistic tensions are going to lead to World War I. Okay, so these nationalistic divisions are going to cause World War I. Okay, so you need to put a star, and we're going to see. They're going to start gaining independence from the Ottoman Empire. First one to go is Serbia, second one is Greece. First one is Serbia gets their independence, then comes Greece. Okay, what?
They get independence from who?
From Ottomans. Okay, so eventually we'll have the whole peninsula gains their independence. Okay, so what you're going to see is that these European nations European nations under Ottoman rule are going to get support from Russia, and that's a big thing that'll come back later. Alright. Alright, here we go. So, American natives fight back is your next heading. Alright, so first and foremost, you don't need to write this down, but you need to understand that under the British, the natives had a little bit better than under the American government, if you can believe it. Even though we're like built on freedom and stuff like that, this doesn't apply to anyone who's not white. So, with that being said, the Indians were promised some bit of independence under the British. Did we promise them anything? No, we forced them off the lands, we put them in reservations. So here we go, we're going to start with the Cherokee Nation. So the Cherokee Nation, after 1800, are going to try to blend into American culture. They're going to assimilate. Okay, they're going to assimilate. They're going to create a constitution similar to ours. Because remember, they're not officially a part of America yet. Okay, they're going to start having similarities. Okay, because they wanted to be seen as an individual nation, similar to America. And what did we do to them? We shipped them off to Oklahoma in the Trail of Tears. Okay, so we forced them to relocate after we found there was gold in their territory. So, do we care that they had a constitution? Did we care that they were trying to assimilate into American white culture? No, we said, ew. Ooh, gold. Goodbye. And we kicked them out. Ghost dance. Okay? So, ghost dance is a movement unified by multiple tribes. Ghost dance is a resistance movement by multiple tribes. And they try to dance their dead relatives alive to fight out white people. Okay? The final major battle between the indigenous and the American government is going to be the Battle of Wounded Knee. In 1890. It's a complete and utter massacre. I mean, the United States government is killing men, women, and children in complete slaughter. And it's the final massive battle between the U.S. government, not white people, it's the U.S. government and the indigenous. Okay, so that is for your Rebellion of America. In South America, that's where you're going to go next. South America. Okay, you have Tupac Amaru II. Yes, Tupac is literally named after him. Okay, he's a religious leader. He's indigenous to Peru. Okay, and what he did is starting killing white people who abuse their power. Okay, so, and this is going to start a rebellion Perfect. And Mexico? Mexico is your next. Okay, so what we're going to see is Napoleon is going to help overthrow the Mexican government. Okay, so he's going to put Archduke Maximilian but the plot goes wrong. And eventually he will be executed and Benito Juarez will be put back on the throne. So, how did French imperializing Mexico go? Not so great. They put someone in there, they got him in there, people overthrew, and now he's off. Alright. Guys, we're killing it. Good. India is your next country. India. Okay, and the big one is the Sepoy Rebellion. So, Sepoys are Indians who fight for the British. Sepoys are Indians who fight for the British. They are responsible for allowing the British to take over India, to be honest. The reason why the British control most of India is because of the Sepoys. Okay, India is made up of two major religions. What are the two major religions of India? No, Sufis, no. What do you got, Taylor? Hinduism and Islam. Okay, both of those religions have outlawed meat. You can't use pork and you can't use beef. So there's a rumor, and you do need to know this. There's a rumor that the guns are greased with beef and pork fat. Okay, so there's a rumor that the guns the British are supplying the Sepoys have pork and beef fat on them. Now today, do we use actual animal grease on our guns? No, it is synthetic. We make grease to put in the guns, which makes it smoother and more effective to shoot. I guess I've never shot a gun in my life and I'm zero interest. With that being said, back in the day before we had synthetic things, which doesn't really arrive until the 1950s, we used to actually use animal grease and animal byproducts. So the rumor started to offend the Islamic ones. They'd say it's pork. To offend the Hindu ones, they said it was beef. And so they're going to rebel against the British. So the Sepoys, who have been working with the British for about 20 or 30 years at this point, during this rebellion are going to fight the British for the first time because they feel, disrespected. Okay? With that being said, the British viciously, and you need to note that, put down the rebellion. So if they have 100 people fighting them, they kill 400 people. Does that make sense? They're going well over, because if you put down a rebellion hard, then you're hoping to not. With that being said, the Sepoy Rebellion directly causes Indian nationalism. A Sepoy Rebellion, and how harshly it was put down by the British, is going to cause Indian nationalism, where they want their independence. Because they're like, good God, these people are atrocious. Alright, so the direct outcomes of the Sepoy Rebellion, what you need to know, okay, you are going to see the Mughal Empire is officially dismantled. The British are like, we're done with this. Okay, so the British are going to completely take over control after it. Okay, and it's called, the new government is called the British Raj, R-A-G. Okay, and we're also going to see the Indian National Congress is going to be set up. So, some of these British educated Indians are going to go and start a national congress to oppose the British. Just like we did here in the United States, yes? We had the First Continental Congress to oppose the British using their own laws against them. They did the same thing because they used whose independence as the model? Ours. So they're going to start that. Does anyone know who's the most famous British educated Indian? Gandhi is probably the only Indian you know of in a massive historical context. He went to Oxford. He worked for the British government for a very long time. And then eventually he was like, you know what, this sucks. Let's get our independence. And then here he is, Gandhi is our Gandhi today. All right. The Indian National Congress is going to be looking for independence. You do need to know that. All right, here we go. So, Vietnam, or Southeast Asia is your next heading. Southeast Asia, Vietnam is controlled by the French. Okay, now there is the first part of the lecture. We're in the second part of the lecture. Does that make sense? Hello? So I cover a lot of this, like who's taking over what territories, in the first one, yeah? Okay, so they're going to oppose, the French are going to remove a 12-year-old from power to collect more power for themselves. Okay, so they're going to force a 12-year-old boy off a throne so they can have more power. What do you got?
Who forces who?
The French are going to force a 12-year-old boy off the throne of Vietnam. Okay, the Philippines is where we're going to start seeing a huge component. Okay, so you do need to know that the Philippines are going to be pro-Enlightenment. They are going to be the ones who are going to be using more Enlightenment theories against European powers. Now, who's in charge of the Philippines right now? Spain is at this point. The United States are going to get it here in a second. Okay, so what we're going to see is that the Enlightenment is going to begin, and they're going to create a propaganda movement against the Spanish. Okay, then the leader of this propaganda movement, who just talked about, wrote articles called Jose Rizal, is going to be executed for his thoughts, and that is going to shock people. So, because of that, they're going to start the Philippine Revolution in 1896. Okay, so in 1896, they're going to start the Philippine Revolution. At the same time, you need to write that nice and big and underline it, the Spanish-American War is happening. At the same time, so we have the Philippine Revolution starting in the middle of the Spanish-American War. Who wins the Spanish-American War? America. So the Philippines go to USA. Okay? And as soon as we get the Philippines, did we give them their independence? Nah! Why would we do that? You know, land of the free, home of the brave. We did not. And then we went to war with them, the Philippine-American War. Guess who won? We did. And they're going to stay our possession until 1996. No, it says 1496, but they're ours until 1996. Isn't that wild? So we could have given their independence. They wanted their independence, and what did we say? Nay, nay. Nay, nay is what we said. Alright. We already talked about Australia. We talked about Aborigines. Are the locals, the indigenous? Yes? Okay. Maori Wars. We've got Africa is where we'll go. I know, we're so close. I just want to make sure I have it. I just want to make sure. And then we'll do some boards here. Because I've got to be almost done, right? Yes, I am very much. Play from this. All right, here we go. So, what I need you to know is in South Africa is where we're going to focus. they are going to have the Xhosa people, which are right here, who are going to fight the British. Okay, the Xhosa people are going to fight the British. And they kill their cattle to keep the British away from their lands. Unfortunately, I think we're all going to kind of see this coming. It's going to lead to a famine and death of thousands of people, including their own people. And unfortunately, guess who's still going to come and take the land? The British. Mostly on principle at this point, but they still take the land. Alright. What do you got?
Actually, like, when they go to revolt and win against the British?
Ethiopia.
Okay.
Well, it's not the British. No one really wins against the British. No one. They have some friendlier terms than others, but no. Everyone loses against the British. Alright. 222. I don't need you to know everything. I hope you see that I am feeling perfect. Okay. I think we could use some whiteboards. What are your thoughts? Yes? Here we go. On your whiteboard, please tell me what do we call Indians who fight for the British? Good. What do we call them, Scott? Sepoys. The Sepoy Rebellion starts with a rumor about what? Good. What do we got, Henry? Pig grease or beef grease or animal fat. Okay, on your whiteboard, please tell me what is, because of the Sepoy Rebellion, the British are going to overcompensate and put down the rebellion very harshly, and they're going to implement what British government in India? What is the British government in India going to be called? Good, Sophia.
British Raj.
British Raj. On your whiteboard. A reaction to the British Raj is the most educated Indians in India are going to create the... Good. What is it, Wesley? The Indian National Congress. On your whiteboard, please tell me, what is the name of the Native American tribe that is going to try to assimilate to white culture as best they can, even adopting a constitution, but the U.S. government is still going to oppose? Izzy?
The Cherokee.
The Cherokee. On your whiteboard, please tell me, what is the name of the Peruvian Jesuit who is going to lead a rebellion killing the cruel people? There's a very famous South California rapper who also has his name. Who is it? Joseph. Tupac. On your whiteboard, please tell me, what country is going to try to imperialize on Mexico under Napoleon III, and it is going to fail epically because they're going to reinstate it? What do we got, Logan? France. On your whiteboard, please tell me, what peninsula is going to have major nationalistic desires that is going to lead to the fall of the Ottomans? Sorry, no. Good. Fryer. The Balkan Peninsula. Who is going to come to the Balkan Peninsula's aid? What powerful European nation is going to come to the Balkan nation aid and help them gain independence? Neil.
The
The Russians. On your whiteboard, what is the final major battle between America and the indigenous tribes? Good. What do you got, Gattaky? Wounded Knee. On your whiteboard, please tell me, what is the name of the country that had a 12-year-old boy on the throne but the French see him as a threat, so they remove him from power. Chris. Vietnam. On your whiteboard, what country is going to have a civil war, get taken over by a separate war, and then ask their independence from America, and we're like, nah, bruh. And we keep them, and then we fight them, and then we win, and now they're under us until 1996. Catherine? Philippines. What war did we get the Philippines in? Good. Joseph. Spanish American. On your whiteboard, please tell me, what is the name of the Russian ruler who is going to expand the territories to its largest extent? Woman. Yes. Who is it, Hayden? Catherine the Great. What is it called when Britain and Russia are fighting over Afghanistan? But they're not really fighting. They're just kind of pissing each other off, and no one wants to declare war over it. Neil. Great game. What country becomes a penal colony until gold is discovered there? Oh, you're just casually throwing that up, Scott. What is it, Scott? Australia or Aussies if you're Scott. On your whiteboard, please tell me, in New Zealand, the British promised to protect what indigenous tribe? But the British are liars. And they didn't. What is it, Izzy? The Maori. On your whiteboard, please tell me, what do Americans use to justify their expansion from the East Coast to the West Coast? What is it? Sophia. Manifest destiny. On your whiteboard, what state did the United States create a coup in and overtake the government? Which is why the local and indigenous on this place hates white people. Taylor. Hawaii. There is a Netflix movie called The Last Princess that talks about the last Hawaiian princess, and it's actually very, very good. Anyway, on your whiteboard, please tell me, what is the name of the doctrine that we issued in 1823 that says no one should imperialize in the Western Hemisphere? Andrew? Monroe Doctrine. On your whiteboard, please tell me, what do we call the removal of the Cherokee, mostly Cherokee, but it is other tribes as well, from the East Coast to Oklahoma? Good. What do we got, Logan? Trail of Tears. On your whiteboard, please tell me, what is... So, there are 2 lectures going today. You just got lecture number 2. There is a lecture number 1, and I would definitely take a look at it. I also posted my PowerPoint, if that helps. Does it? Is there anything else I can do for you? Because how much time do we have? 1 minute. Is there anything else I can do to help you?
Extra credit?
It's a great idea.
You bring me cookies. I'm just kidding.
Wait, if I actually bring cookies?
No, no one's getting extra credit tomorrow for cookies. After we get back from break, there's always one opportunity every quarter. There will be extra credit of some sort. Is that fair? Do we really have a minute left, or are you just lying? It'll be up for you tomorrow. But I've been busy, girl. I've been hustling real hard.
I saw you this morning. I think in fourth year.
What?
The other day I saw you go in my, I was in the sixth class.
Yeah. Oh, that was 2 days ago. Yeah. Goodbye.
It was like for the basin, what
You are welcome, darling.
what's the test mainly gonna be on? Like, is there like a certain sections that maybe like
No.
stand out.
But darling, I hope that you saw from last week that I will curve if I need
If
to.
everyone fails.
No, not everyone failed.
Did
last
anyone
week.
get an A last test?
No.
I still failed with the curve.
The curve. Yeah, same.
I literally do. I
I would have gotten like a 72 with
I
that.
don't know if I've
I
ever
still
said.
fail with every curve.
No, that is not true.
I mean, Miss Bennett, I can bring in her gingerbread flag.
No, 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 no. Bye.
I'm at a party I don't wanna be at, and I don't ever wear a suit and tie. Wondering if I can sneak out the back.